Hi, everyone. I wanted to hop on and make a quick video about a dream that I had last night that I felt was an important message for myself, but also for anyone out there who might be going through some similar things. The dream and the message is around this idea of, are we experiencing an upheaval or change in our situation or something that is creating a huge feeling of churning and instability and feelings and emotions that are coming up either within ourselves or collectively or around us, whether it's around us in our uh, personal circles or around us in the world. When I went to sleep last night, we start usually by asking like for specifics and then, for help in specifics. But then I asked if there was something that I needed to understand, something that would be helpful for me to know, to perceive, to believe, to feel, anything like that, with my current, situation or how I was feeling. And then I received this dream. So this message will be helpful if you're experiencing any of those things. I invite you to continue to listen to the dream and we'll go through some of the dream symbols and also talk about how you can use these symbols in your life and in your current experience. Okay. So the dream represents me at this time, but I was with a group of people and we were standing in a grassy area and it looked like we were trying to have like a gathering or a picnic or something like that. And I walk to what seems like the edge of the grass and I look out. And what I see and what I understand is there's this huge body of water and like an ocean, of course, but I'm on the grass. So it's not technically an ocean, but it is like an ocean. And I understand that something has churned everything up in the ocean. And what I see, though, is what it looks like when you're standing on sand and the water is shallow and it's kind of foamy from the churning of the waves. And so I see shallow water. And in the shallow water are all these sea creatures or sea things that live in this, animals that live in the sea that usually are below the surface. And we don't always see them unless they pop up. But and it churned, so this water churned up everything from anything that lives in the bottom of the ocean to swimming in the middle of the ocean. Everything was churned up. But what I see is all of the sea creatures just sort of floating in this shallow water. And they're coexisting. They're not interacting. They're just all there. And they're have this feeling of being dazed, not really knowing how they got there and what's happening. And I know, though, how this happened. I understand. Oh, everything got churned up. Here it all is. And what I specifically notice is a crocodile, and I see the crocodile and I immediately start to get, okay, a little bit, oh, watch this. This could be aggressive. But as I'm observing the crocodile, I realize the crocodile is dazed too. But it's there and it's not harming anybody or anything, any animals or anything like that. It's just there. And my feeling about the crocodile was I was apprehensive a little bit, like, okay, I'm just going to stand back from that. I'm not going to get any closer. And then as I observed the rest of all of the sea creatures and sea animals in the surface of the water, I spot a dolphin. And the dolphin, you could tell, it's sort of, I could tell the color. It wasn't quite gray. It was a little bit like blues with some beautiful colors of like sprinkling of gold and red. And I see this dolphin and I'm so excited. And someone is standing next to me and I say, look, look, there's a dolphin. And the feeling I had was connection to something that was beautiful and calm and joyful, how you play with the dolphins and things like that. And amongst all the sea animals, those were the two that I specifically observed. And that was the end of the dream. So, one of the important parts, well, there's many symbols and important parts that you can take from this message. But if you remember, I was saying what is helpful for me to know. And sometimes in dream messages, we actually get a clarity about where we are and what's really going on and what we deeply know, like below the surface of all the chaos and the craziness, and maybe all the emotions that we feel. What do we know is going on? And that's the dream, how the dream reveals to us some clarities. So when I sat with that dream and started to recognize, okay, how can I utilize this information in my everyday life? There were a couple of key points. Okay, so here are the key points, and then we're going to go into some of the practices, and I'm just going to kind of look at my notes if that's okay. So thinking about what a crocodile represents and what a dolphin represents. A crocodile represents our feelings of survival, and it can be, it has a hard shell and it can be slithery, but it can kind of be a little bit aggressive, and this primal survival instinct in that crocodiles can represent. So that is definitely going on. I mean, I know just personally and collectively, we can sense that energy in the air, that we are in sort of, how am I going to survive this? How am I going to get through this? How's the world going to get through this? How is our country going to get through this? And that survival instinct comes out. And survival instinct is a little bit, it's just primal. It's the things that you need to protect yourself. You need food, shelter, clothing, and you're going to get it. And you're going to look around, and you're going to get that, get what you need to survive. That is definitely present. And the other thing that was it's equally important, I'll say, is simultaneously at the same time we see these energies and feel these energies of primal survival, we are also experiencing and seeing a huge collective gearing toward our spiritual wisdom, the energies of a dolphin. Think about telepathy and how they communicate, how they work together as a community, how they're joyful, they're free flowing, and they generally are a symbol in dreams of divine wisdom. And that was an important key as well that I really focused on, was even though there's upheaval and even though it's churning up everything, both, people around us, within us, the world is just churning it all up. Everything that was underneath the surface is all coming up. And we're holding all of these energies at the same time. So the upheaval is also bringing up our divine wisdom, our ability to connect to what is wise and true within us, our joy, our sense of community, and this idea of freedom, like freedom to flow through the water and have, kind of fun with it. That is also present. And they're both present, and it's okay. It's okay to have them both be present. The the holding of both of these energies and as an observer of these energies, that can bring to us an incredible um, new world, an incredible new experience. And we are managing both of those. Now, nothing was aggressive in this collective coexistence of all of these different energies. Nothing was aggressive. In fact, everything was sort of dazed. It just was like, what is going on here? And I think that's also important to remember too, is we're not giving in as the observers of all of these emotions, both within ourselves and outside of ourselves, is it's we understand what's going on. Understanding is so important. Oh, this is all getting churned up. Here it all is. And how can we, the question is, and the point is, how can we be the observer of all of it at the same time? And how can we draw in more of our divine wisdom? And how can we manage or just not provoke, if you will, that survival instinct that we have? To still pay attention to it and know that we need to have that. We need to know how we're going to survive in a human in human life. And but as we hold both of these together, the survival and the divine wisdom will help us with that survival. It'll help us to know how to navigate so we can have everything that we need. But the excitement of seeing the dolphin was that, okay, that's what I'm focusing on. I was very focused on the dolphin once I realized the dolphin was there. And that's the important part too, is notice it all, but don't negate that the divine wisdom and the joy and the peace and the sense of community is also present in this experience. So as a practical something I could do with this information was, I think first it was showing me the value of observation. So I'm standing on the grass and I'm watching all of this happen. So we hear about observation in terms of meditation all the time, where how we can observe what is going on, like what is going on internally within ourselves. And the idea of the observation is you just get a little bit of space between who you are and what you are observing. And to maintain that space, you can then have clarity, you can have understanding. It's still there, you're not negating it, you're not judging it, you're just allowing. So, one of the exercises or practices that we can do with this is observe and just notice, okay, am I going through, personally, am I going through an upheaval? Am I going through a change? Is there something that is all being stirred up within my family, within myself, within my community? And then observe, what is that? Like, what do I notice? So if it comes to you in images, it might be images, which then you can translate into emotions or patterns that are arising in your world. And as you're observing them, I invite you to pay attention to also simultaneously holding both of these at the same time. Where's my divine wisdom? Let me focus also on that at the same time. And when I'm focusing on that, I get even more understanding. I get clarity. I also receive instructions or guidance, what to say, what to do, what to think. All of those things come with that dolphin energy. And that holding both, it takes a little practice because our attention seems to be focused on one and then the other and then one and the other. But in the dream, I was seeing all of it at the same time. And there's a power in that observation mode where you're seeing all of it at the same time. You're holding it all at the same time. And what you get excited about is the dolphin energy. You get excited when you notice these things. Are you having synchronicities? Are you having aha moments? Are you having signs? Are you receiving dreams? Are you receiving messages? And don't you get excited about that? Isn't that really, because that is tapping into something where you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I really have wanted. And also, you're paying attention to the crocodile energy. You're paying attention to that. And you're saying, okay, it's over there. I get it. I totally get it. Of course, it would be there. And I need to honor it. I need to notice it. And I also need to know that it is important and it is there and that has to be addressed. And that's okay. It's not aggressive. It's not going to attack. It's not going to go after what it needs and not care about anybody else. It's just there and needs to be taken care of, but it's taken care of by the dolphin energy. That's where it is. That's what's important. So let me just see if there was any. I got two sets of notes here, so I just want to see if I managed to sort of get all of that in. I think the other thing that I would pay attention to is, definitely standing on the grass was really important. So I'm standing on the ground. And we hear a lot about grounding, very, very important. And you can do grounding exercises or visualizations, or just go out and ground yourself, hug a tree. If you can't get outside, do the visualizations of being rooted in the earth. So being on solid ground, being rooted in the earth, noticing your internal light. And you can start in your heart chakra. You can start anywhere really in your whole system. You can even start outside and then go in and then feel that going down into the ground, rooting yourself, and then observing what is around you and what is surfacing in your life. You can start out by practical, like actual events, but I suggest, because it's water in the dream, it very much has to do with emotions. And emotions are really the avenue and the way into our soul and into the higher dimensions. So remember, this sense of excitement was an emotion. And when you start to connect to that inner wisdom, you start to feel a little bit more alive, a little bit more, more happy, joyful. But there's something about connecting to that that also aids us in these transition times or times of upheaval. I'm going to stop there. I really hope that that dream was helpful to you, like it was to me. And I will continue to get on and do sort of, some short videos of everything that I'm getting. I have said this in other videos. I'm getting a lot, and a lot seems to have do with emotions. A lot seems to do with connecting to our inner wisdom, but also honoring everything that is coming up, both within ourselves, others, and in the world. So thank you for listening.